Hi, I'm Jim,
And I'm Audrey.
and we both love wine, but
We have some different views.
which is why this series is called His
And hers.
Wine. All right, so far we have been fairly genteel. We have
Hopefully.
we've had some different views. We mostly agree on things.
That's true. We have been very agreeable.
So it's time today to jump into the controversy.
Oh boy.
There's a topic
Uh-huh.
that I both believe in and hate, and you know what that is.
I've been pre-warned. Okay, go ahead.
We're talking today about terroir.
Yep.
Now, terroir is something I hate because it's one of those topics where if you go to the wine shop or you go to the winery or the wine tasting, there's always going to be that one guy who's wearing an Argyle sweater vest and a goatee, going on and on about terroir and pronouncing it worse than I am.
So like a wine snob is what you're saying.
Wine snob.
Okay.
But the darn thing about it is that I agree with it. And the idea about terroir. Well, explain it, terroir, because
So-
you're the science person.
So terroir, we're talking about Terroir. Our pronunciation, whatever I do pronounce as the way I've heard it from the sommeliers I've talked to, is terroir, almost like a W sound for us English-speaking people. But it is a French word, so I never trust my pronunciation of that. Based off of the Latin, though, Terre, which refers to soil, land or soil.
Right, and the idea is that the wines that come from a particular region, they pick up elements of the soil, and not just the soil. There's more to terroir than just the soil, though, right? Because we're talking about place, really, is what we're talking about. And that can be anything from the climate, that can be the amount of sunshine it gets, how high it is on the ridge versus how low it is, how the water drains through. There could be 1,000 things that go into terroir, but it's really about place. And the concept is that when you taste a well-made wine from that place, you can taste the place.
Yes. And that is where he feels that is true. He believes in that. He loves, French wines, and he will say he tastes the soils of French Bordeaux area, for example.
Well,
What do you feel like you're tasting?
Well, I feel like when you taste the minerality and the deep richness,
Okay.
you're getting the same sense if you go to those places. If you go to Bordeaux, and you're there on a nice hot summer day, and you've got those hot stones baking in the sun, and the grapes are growing in that, and those minerals and those richness and ripeness. And when you taste it, you can taste those same minerals, that same place. It tastes like it smells and feels when you're actually there.
Okay, so my argument. Scientifically, and there are arguments from experts on both sides, so I'll just say that. But scientifically, there is nothing to show that flavors can be transferred through roots into a plant. And I'm just going to throw out, if you take a potato plant and you plant it in one place, and then you take another potato plant and you plant it in a different location, it's still going to taste like a potato in both places. It's not going to taste differently because it was in a different location. So yes, soil has different components in different places, but I don't feel that that is transferred through the roots into it itself. Terroir, what I would take from that is the process is huge. It is a complex, intricate dance that we're doing here. You're talking about the climates and the soils, whether it's rocky or clay, affects how much water and nutrients are actually feeding into the grapevine. The grapes are delicate. How they're handled, when they're harvested, how they are harvested, all of those things can affect it. And the winemakers, the experts that are actually putting this blend together with this wine, I believe that is what you're actually tasting. Okay, it's not everything is true. The earth is different, the climates are different, but as for taste, you're tasting the end point of that wonderful dance that's been put together for you.
Well, and I'll agree with you there, because we know that when you talk to great winemakers, they are obsessive about, you know, not only when they harvest the grapes, but what time. There's winemakers who will only harvest in the middle of the night, you know,
Yes.
or they only use a certain method for cutting the stems, or you know how they handle the grapes and what the temperature has to be, and all of the parameters, and they study them for weeks before they're ready to pick, and they test the pH and the acidity and the sugars and everything else. We know that's all true. We know that's all true. However, if you take a great wine from someplace like Argentina or California, as well as it's made at its absolute best, it's still not going to taste the same as a Bordeaux or a Chianti or a Tempranillo. It's not going to taste the same as those other places. It'll be good. It'll be fantastic. It'll be out of this world. But there is something about the place. When you taste a Burgundy, it tastes like Burgundy. It tastes like that place. It's just different than the same grape grown in another country, another climate.
And I still would contend that that has to do with the techniques that are used. The French do use slightly different techniques than we would do, and again, they are having different soil, so it's affecting how the grape is growing. It's affecting the climates and things. If it's prosperous, if it's not prosperous, how much sun it has, that's being affected by how rocky or how heavy clay infused how much that is. It's going to affect it, but I don't think that is the essence of it. So I understand.
Okay, but you look at a grapevine. A grapevine, you know, at its height stands what, 4 or 5 feet above the ground, right? But under the ground, those roots go down sometimes as much as 30 meters, you know, 100 yards down into the soil. Most of that plant is down in the rock and the soil.
Okay,
and
your
the minerals.
argument is going that we're getting flavor from Middle Earth. So no, I'm not on that bandwagon.
Well, all right.
Little stretch.
I understand, and scientists will say, look, roots do one thing. They bring, you know, they bring water and nutrients up to the plant, and they do that whether they're in Virginia or Argentina or South Africa. That's what they do.
And I will say there are experts on both sides that will strongly argue either argument here. Okay, so either side, fine. But I believe that it's become kind of like an urban slang, that when somebody talks about terroir, it's accepted as just an expression of a difference of location.
And please excuse the pumping rap music behind us. We're outside today, and this is what you get when you film outside. That's right. You know, it's a great day. People are out. They got their windows down. God love them.
But yeah, terroir. It's used. That expression is used all over by experts on both sides, whether they're believing in a science method of it or they're simply just making a reference to location and climate and the whole of what the change of location would entail.
Right, and scientifically speaking, and just strictly scientifically speaking, the scientists who say that are killjoys, scientifically, objectively. Because when I open that bottle of Bordeaux, and it transports me to that place that I've been, that's so wonderful and beautiful and spectacular, and I can taste that in the bottle, and then some scientist comes along and says, it's a bunch of bunk. That scientist objectively is a killjoy who hates wine.
No, I love wine. I love wine. If you only pin me down, I am very accepting of all those things. Would not want to be a killjoy at all. It is just a difference of opinion, and you could believe me, I've read a few things, and there are experts on both sides that will have fantastic arguments for you. So this is just one of those things that we might disagree on.
Yep. As I said, you know, today is when the controversy comes out. So you know, this is the his and hers. That's just how it goes. But
what are you drinking?
What am I drinking today? Well, today I went with one of the wines that we picked up. Remember when we did the video on trying to stay in a budget? And
Stocking, yes.
Stocking. So one of the, not stalking like stalking your neighbor.
No.
But stocking your wine. Restocking your wine, right. I went with a lovely Tempranillo. And again, I can taste that hot Spanish climate. I can taste those rich soils from central Spain right here in the bottle. Even if
Spain grapes have a great taste.
even if scientists can't, even if they say I'm wrong.
Tempranillo is great. So,
What have you got? What are you drinking?
I
today?
went to California. I went to Napa. So again, we're talking about Napa that has lots and lots of little microclimates and things going on. So this is a fantastic Cabernet. This is teeter totter. I'm looking at the mouse and I was trying to remember if it had anything different on there with the mouse and the elephant. Teeter totter is fantastic. This is one that I would take and give to a host at an event because this is a very nice wine, wonderful Cabernet.
And that's one that she's had on the shelf now for over a year. It's something that's special, and she's been saving it for a really great occasion. She had a fantastic day yesterday. She had a good day. So out comes the teeter totter.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Remember, no matter what your view, just enjoy.
Even if you're wrong.
Hey.
Hey.